Hello, loves. Welcome to the Sparkle Z Boutique. Today I am coming to you showing you what I did with the window nook area in my apartment. This project is renter friendly and I had so much fun putting it together. I'm going to show you 3 ways that you can set this up depending on what your taste is. If you want to see how I did that, you know what you got to do. Keep watching. I am so happy that you are here. And if you are new to my channel, I will absolutely love if you would subscribe to my channel. I'm going to start posting once a week again, and I don't want you to miss any of the fun. Shine bright like a diamond. I know this video is a little longer than I usually post on my channel, so I did add timestamps down in the description box below for your convenience. But the most expensive item that you would need in this project are artificial flowers. So I wanted to show you a way that you can not only color white artificial flowers, but also be able to use different things to fill in, to stretch it out where you won't need as much flowers as you would if you didn't have those fillers. I will leave a link down below to the tutorial that I have here on my channel showing you how I colored those flowers. Like I mentioned previously, I came up with some interesting ways to save money on artificial flowers. I found these 6 rose head pillows that were mint green that I used Rit dye in the gray color to be able to use these flowers in this flower wall. And I know you may not be able to tell from the clip, but trust me, it is a drastic difference. They are gray as opposed to mint green. I really love the way that they turned out. And the next thing that I used was this glitter ribbon that I got from AC Moore that was on clearance when they went out of business. I could not find a link of where to get this from, but I wouldn't recommend this ribbon anyway. I'm showing you right now how much this ribbon shedded glitter everywhere. It was unbelievable. I will be showing you in a second how much glitter came off this ribbon that I hung on to the glitter because I'm thinking I may be able to use it for another project. Okay, I use this silver glitter ribbon. I also use some gray tulle and some black tulle. And I'm showing you first how I cut this into sections and then cut them into little squares and try to put it in a way where I gathered the fabric so that it would have an appearance of a flower. I'm not trying to make it look like a flower. This is going to be filler just so that I don't have a bunch of gaps in this nook. As you can see with all these fillers that I'm going to be using, that I wrapped a clear hair rubber band around all of them, and I never had an issue with it. All the rubber bands stayed on good, but all of a sudden I noticed the rubber bands were popping, so I end up using zip ties. And also I use hot glue, but I wouldn't recommend the hot glue because the hot glue can get pretty hot and I do not want anyone to get burnt. So you would see me using clear rubber bands initially, and I didn't have an issue with that with most of them, but some of them I noticed and you will see it popped. So I end up using the zip tie and it was way easier and more secure, and I wish I would have figured that out before I went through all of this madness. And the zip ties came from the Dollar Tree. They were $1 and they were very secure. You will see no matter what fabric or ribbon that I'll use, after I put it together, I spread it out or fan it out. And I'm doing that because, again, I'm trying to fill in as much gap area as possible without having to spend more money. I got this black tool not thinking about the fact that it would just look like black spaces with just a black tool. So I ended up getting some silver tool as well. So that I wouldn't waste it, I mixed the black and the gray together, and I cut it in strips, and I'm going to wrap it around my hand. And initially, like I said, I started off with the rubber band in the middle, but you're going to see that I'm going to change it where I'm going to zip tie them in the middle. And I was able to move them around, and I didn't have any issues with any of them popping. Once you get the rubber band or zip tie, whichever one you decided to use, you're going to take these loops and put the scissors in the middle of the loop that you just made and cut them so that you can have it looking very beautiful and fluffy, and you can cut it to have it so they have a nice shape and one piece is not too long. I went in with my scissors and cut the edges so they can look frayed a little bit, whichever way you prefer. Now, of course, you don't have to get the glitter tool. You don't have to get the silver tool or the black tool. I'm just showing you what I did. You can do all flowers. Maybe you have enough flowers to do those. Maybe you want to do all gray tool or whatever color that you have is totally up to you. It is all about what you want to do with your space. Like I stated before, I'm whatever your preference is. Now I just wanted some plain silver ones because I didn't want too much black, just a little bit touch of black. So I took the silver tool and just did the same way, the same process, just all silver tool. And also, it's cheaper to get the silver tool and cut it in strips as opposed to getting that tool ribbon, and that is way more expensive because I the this tool was 99 cents a yard, as opposed to that ribbon can be anywhere from $2 to $4 or $5. So it's cheaper to get the fabric cut at Joann's, and this was the matte tool fabric. And here are those flowers that I showed you in the clip earlier. Now I'm just using those fillers to fill in anywhere where I see it's a gap. And I have attached this to some foam board. And this will make more sense to you when I get to the window nook area. And so right now I'm filling in the gaps, but I found out through going through this process that every inch does not have to be covered, because if you have too many flowers crowded together, when you go to put these boards in, you realize that it will look bunched up if you have too many flowers in one area. So it really is better to space them out and then go in and add them in once they're attached to the wall, which I will show you later in the video. As like I said before, the rubber band popped on this tool, and now you're going to see me take a zip tie and just zip tie it together as opposed to using the rubber band. And you will see it's much better doing it this way. But whatever you have at your home, you know how when you start a project, you don't necessarily want to have to run out and get everything. So at first, I didn't have the zip ties, or I couldn't find the zip ties, so I used the rubber bands. And then all of a sudden, it came to me, duh, use a zip tie. So, whatever you have at your home will work out just fine. As I'm editing the video, it hit me the rubber bands probably popped because the hot glue is hot. So, maybe if you let the hot glue cool down before you put the filler in, maybe the rubber band won't pop. So, like I said, whatever works best for you. These black foam boards came from the Dollar Tree, and I measured my wall before I went to the store so I would know how many foam boards that I needed. And of course, you can make them as big or as small as whatever your space is. I'm going to show you later on how I took my tape measure to be able to fill in any areas that I may have done the measuring wrong. And now I'm taking more flowers and filling it in. I used a screwdriver to puncture some holes in this foam board so that I can be able to go in with hot glue and put these, well, oh, I use scissors, okay? So I can use hot glue to put these flowers in this foam board without have to worry about them coming out. Okay, I filled in this section of the foam board, and now I am going to the wall or the window nook and showing you how I am going to measure to see how big the foam board needs to be that I'm going to put in the area. You also going to see that my measurements were off. I don't know what I did, but it was no problem because all I did was cut my foam board, filled it up, and filled the space in. And now I'm going to call myself using those measurements I just took and use them on this foam board. And that way I can be able to put it in the corner. But as you saw, my measurements was off. I don't know what I did, but my intentions were good. Okay, now I'm turning the foam board around and make sure that I got all the flower stems that may have came through the other side of the foam board. This piece right here was only one because as you do a project, you learn by trial and error how to do things. And at first I had a whole bunch of them under it, but I got a hang of it towards the end. I only had that one. Now I'm taking this Nano double-sided tape and I am putting it behind the foam board to hang it up on the wall. I used this long strip down the whole side initially, but I found out that you don't need that much. You just need to be able to get a piece on each side, as you can see the small pieces, and it will hold just as well. Now I'm going to be adding this to the wall, making sure that all the edges are flush and there is no spaces or openings in between the foam board and the wall. I got all excited because I thought this was my last piece, but you're going to see shortly that I'm going to figure out that, no, not so fast. The measurements were off. But I, again, am going to fix that. And this is what it's looking like from the other side. I'm just loving the way it's turning out. But I'm going to take some flowers, like I said, that are out of place in here and use it for that little space. It only ended up being like a 6 inches, 1/6 and 1/4 inches to fill in that little piece. And then I'm going to have to address what I'm going to do with these sides, because this bling wrap, that ain't gonna work. And I'm curious to know what y'all think, if sheer curtains in the front, or I think if y'all put flowers going this way, I think that's gonna be too much. I don't know. I will figure it out. Okay. And here is the last piece of foam board with flowers that I cut. Then I'm going to insert in. And then I'm going to be taking some of those filler pieces and going through this whole window nook and seeing anywhere where there is a section that needs to be filled in by these filler pieces. Of course, I'm going to use my hot glue gun to put just a little hot glue before I put them on the foam board, because I don't want these flowers falling from everywhere. And here is the first look. If you didn't want any lights, you just wanted the flowers in the nook and the curtains. And I got these curtains from shein.com. Of course, I will link them down below. But you guys know that I'm extra, so I wanted to add some of these string lights that I got from Amazon. I will put them down below. They have a remote, and I am going to take these wire and I am going to intertwine them in the flowers. I didn't use any hot glue. I was afraid to use hot glue because I didn't know it was going to interfere with the wire. So you're going to see me just tucking them in different places in the flowers, and they stayed there once I did that. Okay, behind those curtains that I had, I decided to use some curtain lights, and I will leave a link down below where you can purchase them from. And I will advise you to keep the sections separate before taking off the zip ties so that you don't have any issues with tangling. And here are the Brightown curtain lights. It has a remote, it's plugged in, it's tied together. All the strands of the curtain lights are tied together very well. I would highly stress, do not take off the individual ties to after you have the curtain lights hung up. If you don't, you will have a tangled mess. I promise you. It is important that you do this step. Right now, on unraveling the lights to make sure that I will have a continuous strand when I go to hang it. Again, not removing the individual ties, but making sure that I have all the larger ties, that grouping some of the strands together so that I can move quickly and get them hung up. Okay, now that I have this unraveled, I wanted to show you how they have it constructed by strand. So how I'm going to hang it is everywhere is one of these little white pieces. I'm going to hang a thumbtack. Now you can hang a command strip or whatever you have, a nail. I just use the thumbtacks because that's what I had. And this is how I had the thumbtacks. I was looking for those little mini hooks that they have at the Dollar Tree, but in my area, I could just not find them. So I used the thumbtacks instead, and I made sure that I had put the thumbtack under the curtain rod so that I can cover up any wires. And I know I am looking adorable today, you guys, but I am here to get work done. It's not a fashion show. So I wanted to come to you and get this video up, and I didn't have time to go and get all dolled up. And like I stated before, once you get all the lights hung up, then you can take off the individual ties. So I wanted to show you guys what that looked like so you don't have a tangled mess. Added, okay, this is what it looks like with the thumbtacks here. Like what I said, that white piece that was there, that on top of the thumbtack. And I'm glad I put this under the curtain rod, because the curtains will cover up all this extra wiring, I hope. And so that's what it looks like. So I'm going to cut the lights on and show you some of the things that the lights do. Okay, this is what the remote looks like. Okay, and this is what it looks like with just gray sheer curtains. I wanted y'all to see that. That is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So what I was thinking about doing is doing the same idea I was talking about before. Putting another rod across here and put the star curtains out here. So we'll see what that looks like. Look guys, it's perfect. I'm gonna show you how you still can see the different. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? How you can see it through those stars with the different features on it. Please bear with me. I didn't realize till I edited it that you really can't see the lights moving, but I promise you they are moving. It's just hard to captivate this on camera. I think that's the prettiest, because you really can see it through the stars with that one. But I like it kind of moving too. Let me see. Just nice, really nice. That one going slower. That's pretty. Now let me cut on the other lights with the other remote. That's beautiful. Look how beautiful that is. Splatter. That's so beautiful. Make you feel like you're in a winter wonderland. Right here. Turned out so gorgeous. And like I said, even with this these other lights, you can do more effects with those too. I wanted to mention that both lights came from the same Amazon seller, They are called Brightown, but again, I will leave a link down below. What you think down below, leave a comment, and let's see what this looks like with lights completely turned off. Just gorgeous. Just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I have another set of these curtain lights. I thought I was going to need two, but I cannot wait for y'all to see what I'm going to do with the second curtain light stream, the other set of curtain fairy lights. Okay, like I mentioned a couple of times before, this is how it looks with another set of curtains. And I also added a beaded curtain from shopwildthings.com. I'm just showing you how I have them attached, and now I don't have to worry about those white strips around the foam board. And these curtains, you can open or close them or tie them back. I will be showing you that as well. I decided to put a bench inside of there. You can sit on the bench and look at the flowers and look at the lights and just lean back and relax, and you'll feel like you are in your own flower oasis, and you can just sit back and relax, and you can still see the TV in this window nook area. You can look outside of the room, and you just feel so wonderful. Okay, now I'm going to show you how they look with the curtains tied back. As you can see, I didn't change 3 times in this project. It did take some time, but boy, was it worth the effort. It turned out so gorgeous. Right now, I'm just taking the piece of the curtain, the crystal curtain, and just tying it around the curtain panels. And I'm going to attach it to a hook that I have attached to the wall, and that way, if I want to open the curtains or close the curtains, I can do it with no problem. And inside this room, I also added these candelabras from Eve Favormark. I haven't decided if I want to keep them there or not, but for recording purposes and letting you have an idea of a somewhat finished look, I added one on each side of this pink bench that I have inside of here. And this is the final look that I ended up with. I absolutely love the way that it turned out. Those lights are sparkling and the flowers are in place. They're not going anywhere. I'm sure you noticed when I added the wire that I didn't have any issues with any flowers falling out. And again, like I said, you can close the curtains. You can remove the crystal beads if you don't want. You don't have to put the curtains at all. Whatever look you like would be the look that you like. Put down below which look did you like better. Look number 1, look number 2, or look number 3. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging in here with me. If you got to this point, this is a much longer tutorial than I normally have here on my channel, but this project had different facets that I really wanted to make sure that I gave you a clear understanding. Of course, if you have any more questions, you can leave them down below. I love you guys, and as always, be your own kind of beautiful, because you, my love, are beautiful. See you next time. Bye.